When we estimate, we have a couple of things we have to remember to make sure that we get an estimated answer, and then we're going to check for reasonableness to make sure we have all those parts. I like to think about estimating as having this word mate in it. So if we have a mate, that typically means we have two or more things to think about, or that we have within that. So with estimating, we're going to round first, and then we're going to solve using those rounded numbers. And then we're going to find the real answer. And then we can check to see if that real answer is reasonable with the estimated answer. So here I have 358 plus 21. I'm going to estimate around each of these numbers to the nearest 10. So 358 has 5 tens. So I'm going to start my number line at 350. 10 more than 350 is 360. And right in the middle is 355. So I could fill out the rest of my number line. But I'm just going to put right here is 358. So I can clearly see that 358 is much closer to 360 than it is to 350. So I'm going to circle 360 so I remember that 358 rounded to the nearest 10 is 360. And now I'm going to round 21. 21 has 2 tens, which have a value of 20. And the next 10 would be 30. And again, right in the middle is 25. And 21 would be right here. So 21 is much closer. It's only 1 away from 20 compared to being 9 away from 30. So I'm going to circle 20. So the rounding 21 to the nearest 10 would be 20. So that's part 1 of my estimating. The second part is to solve using those rounded answers. So since this is an addition problem, I'm going to add 360 and 20. And that gives me 380. So those are the two parts when I am estimating. I have to round and then solve using those numbers. But to make sure that my answer is reasonable, I need to actually solve this problem. And I can do that with a progression strategy or mental math. And I'm going to do a progression strategy for this one. So I'm going to use a level 3, which is an expanded form. And I'm going to expand both of my numbers. So 358 is 300 plus 50 plus 8. And 21 is 20 plus 1. And again, each of these numbers represents the value of these digits. So now I can go ahead and add. 8 and 1 more is 9. 5 tens and 2 more tens is 7 tens, which have a value of 70. And 3 hundreds plus 0 more hundreds is 300. And when I put that expanded form into a base 10 numeral, that gives me 379. And 379 is very close to 380. So we would say that this is a reasonable answer. Another problem that I could do is 459 plus 35. So again, if I am estimating, I'm going to have two parts over here. So I'm going to round each of those numbers, and then I'm going to add or subtract them depending on what the problem is. Again, this is another addition problem, so I'm going to find the sum. So 459 has 45 tens, or 450 would be what that value is. And 450 plus 10 is 460. And 459 is right here, which is 1 away from 460. So I'm going to use 460 as my rounded answer. And then 35 is 30, has 3 tens, which is 30. And then 1 more 10 is 40. And right in the middle happens to be 35. And when we are rounding and we find a number that's right in the middle, we are going to take that number to the next 10 or the next 100, depending on what place value we are rounding to. So 35 rounded to the next 10 is 40. So I'm going to circle 40. And now, since this is an addition problem, I am going to add these two numbers together. So 460 plus 40 is 500. So next, I'm going to find the real answer. So I'm going to use a mental math strategy for this one called make tens. And I'm going to decompose 35 into 1 and 34. So that way I can make multiple 10s here by making 59 to the next 10 by adding one more, which is 460. So then I'm going to add 460 plus 34, which is 504. And 504 is only 4 away from 500. So again, this is another reasonable problem.